On the day Eli and I got married, Layla, the top star of a girl group, swallowed pills and committed suicide. Her last post on social media was, "Eli. Happy wedding. I'm sorry. I love you." That night, Eli hadn't fulfilled my say. In despair, slashed his wrists in our new home's bathroom. When the ambulance arrived, he was still muttering, "Layla. I'm coming to join you. Wait for me." It was then that I realized the person I had protected for 10 years had long fallen in love with the very person who had once bullied him. After their story was exposed, countless netizens were moved by it. And I became the despicable third party. Layla's extreme fans then do XX'd me, leading to my death. I was reborn on the very first day Eli was bullied by Layla in high school. This time, I didn't reach out to help. In this life, I genuinely wish this couple would lock themselves in a cage. After being pushed off the building by Layla's extreme fans, I was reborn. I returned to high school. On the day Eli was first bullied by Layla after transferring. At this moment, Layla was pouring water over Eli's head. While doing so, she laughed. "A country bumpkin. Your hair is all tangled and dirty. Let me wash it for you. No need to thank me." In my past life, I was the class monitor. Unable to watch Eli being bullied, I stepped in and stopped Layla. When Layla saw me stand up, she temporarily stopped tormenting Eli. But what I didn't know was that she continued to bully him in secret. I had to keep a close watch on Eli to protect him from further bullying. And that protection lasted all through high school. When the college entrance exam results came out, Eli could have gone to the country's top university. But he applied to the same school as me and confessed his love for me. Eli was handsome, intelligent, and I agreed. Once we were together, I habitually tried to think of him in every way. After college, Eli joined my company as an intern. Because of his outstanding performance, my father was very satisfied with him. Our marriage was then naturally brought up for discussion. But I never imagined that, on the night after our wedding, he would commit suicide in our new home's bathroom. The bathtub was filled with blood. When I found him in the bathtub with his wrists slit, I collapsed to the floor in terror. I hurriedly trembled as I dialed 120 for an ambulance. But when I approached him to try to save him, I noticed that his lifeless hand was tightly clutching a yellowing photo. The person in the photo was Layla, the current top star of the girl group. She was the girl who had bullied him in high school. My brain buzzed. I remained stunned, unable to believe what I was seeing. Until the ambulance arrived. When Eli was lifted into the ambulance, he briefly regained consciousness. He kept murmuring, "Layla. I love you. I'm coming to join you. Wait for me." All the excuses and reasons I had made up for him were suddenly turned into a joke. I never imagined Eli could fall in love with Layla after being tormented by her for so long. He was pathetic. And I, who agreed to be with him, was even more like a fool. A clown who had been played with in his palm. It disgusted me. After Eli was sent to the hospital, they couldn't save him. On the way to the hospital, I finally understood why he had taken his own life. On the very day of our wedding, Layla had swallowed a large amount of sleeping pills and committed suicide at home. Her last post was, "Eli, happy wedding, I'm sorry. I love you." After seeing that, Eli had frantically called Layla. But no one answered the phone. It wasn't until the hot search exploded with news of Layla's suicide that Eli had fallen into despair and killed himself in response. Because Layla was a top-tier radio, with countless fans, her suicide was quickly linked to her love for Eli. Her fans soon found out about Eli and began targeting him, initially intending to blame him. But when they realized Eli had also committed suicide, their hatred turned into grief. The love story between these two had moved countless people, and it quickly dominated the hot search. As for me, hadn't fulfilled I became the third wheel who had broken them apart. Even though my classmates kept trying to clear my name online, the fanatical fans refused to believe me. They were convinced I had caused Eli and Layla's deaths. They insulted me non-stop, wishing I would die and go to hell to apologize to Layla. My family's company was also boycotted by the public, and competitors quickly took advantage to swallow it up. I was almost driven to depression by the online backlash. But Layla's extreme fans still wouldn't let me go. They found my address and dragged me to the rooftop, pushing me off. Bitch, heading fulfilled when sigh. Go to hell and apologize to Layla. And just like that, I died because of Eli and Layla. Thinking about everything from my past life, as I watched Eli drenched in water, my heart was filled with endless hatred. It turned out the netizens were right. Feeling sympathy for men only leads to your own misfortune. In this world, there's no such thing as redemption literature. There's only the farmer and the snake, saving a wolf in sheep's clothing. This time, I didn't speak up to stop Layla. Instead, I simply glanced at them before continuing to focus on my test paper. Our school is an elite institution. The students here are mostly children from wealthy families. Eli, a poor transfer student, was brought in by the school to improve their enrollment rate. But wealth isn't something that good grades can overcome. So, his relationships with others weren't very good. Being bullied and looked down on was the norm for him. But since the principal had personally recruited him, people were cautious not to cross the line. And Eli was particularly unlucky. When he first transferred, he accidentally bumped into Layla while rushing back to the classroom. It was Layla's fault for not paying attention. But who cares if Eli was the poor kid? Layla had always been one to form cliques and didn't care much for studying. So from then on, she began to pick on Eli, bullying him at every turn. Seeing Eli's trouble with Layla as soon as he transferred, the other students couldn't help but watch eagerly. Meanwhile, Eli, having fulfilled my ascension, flustered and red-faced, looked at Layla. I washed my hair already," Eli quickly said. The classroom erupted in laughter. Eli's face turned even redder. I kept staring at his profile, and soon realized that although his face was flushed, there was no sign of embarrassment in his expression. Instead, his eyes would sneak glances at Layla every now and then. And when he looked at her, his eyes actually shone with a surprising brightness. Seeing this, I couldn't help but feel like a fool in my past life. How could I not see that Eli had already fallen for Layla back then? It turns out that he didn't love her because of the Stockholm syndrome caused by her bullying. No, he had liked her from the very beginning. For him, Layla's bullying might not have felt like torment at all, but rather an opportunity to get closer to her. As for the way I tried to protect him, looking back, it was just my own delusion and self-importance. He must have even resented me for meddling, thinking I was hindering his chances to be near Layla. The thought made me clutch the pen in my hand tightly. A surge of hatred welled up in my chest, but more than that, I felt disgusted. Eli, if you've been secretly in love with Layla all this time, why did you still come after me? Was I just a tool to provoke Layla? You were willing to degrade yourself, but why drag me into it? I took a deep breath after a while, forcing myself to calm down. Layla let out a cold laugh after Eli finished speaking. After washing your hair, you still look so dirty. You're really disgusting, she said, then threw her water bottle at his head. Eli didn't say a word, just lowered his head. Layla, seeing this, lifted her foot and stepped on his leg, gently slapping his face. I'm telling you, if you mess with me, heading so failed my ancestor, you won't last in this school. Today's just a little lesson for you. If you dare act blind again, you'd better watch out. With that, Layla got up and returned to her seat with her two friends. Eli, on the other hand, appeared to be trembling with fear, as if he had been bullied. But who knows what he was truly feeling inside, whether it was fear, or the excitement and thrill of getting what he wanted. Layla probably didn't know that. To Eli, the so-called punishment and bullying were nothing but rewards. Just thinking about it made my stomach turn. Without my interference and protection, Layla began to relentlessly bully Eli. She'd send him on errands to buy things for her just before class, pour dirty water from mopping the floors on him, throw tissue balls at him, place bloody items in his desk, and tear up his books and papers. And Eli never once fought back. Despite all of this, when the first monthly exam ended, Eli still ranked first in the grade. This made the other students admire him. Even after being tormented by Layla every day, he still managed to get first place? Impressive. I stared at the report card in my hand, unwilling to accept it. I wasn't stupid. Before Eli transferred to this school, I was always the top student in the grade. After being reborn, I had been studying relentlessly every day. But despite all my efforts, I still lost to Eli. Is the gap in intelligence truly something I can never catch up to, no matter how hard I try? At this moment, I also suddenly understood why I agreed to Eli's confession in my past life. Maybe, out a low sigh, deep down, I was just the kind of girl who admired strength. Because Eli's grades were always better than mine, and his intellect was stronger. That's why I fell for him. But soon, I slapped my own cheek. I reminded myself, no matter how powerful others are, it's none of my business. What matters is that I become strong. Rather than admiring others, I should work on becoming stronger myself. Eli's good grades were indeed impressive. But I wasn't bad either. With Eli ranking first in the grade, Layla became even more interested in him. After class, Layla walked over to Eli's desk. "You're impressive. Getting first place despite everything I've done to you." Layla looked at Eli with a smile. Eli only lowered his head and remained silent. Suddenly, Layla reached out, lifted Eli's chin, and smiled at him. "If you kneel and crawl like a dog, I'll make you my boyfriend. What do you think?" Upon hearing this, the students watching couldn't help but gasp in shock. The girls behind Layla whispered to each other. "Layla, are you really going this far?" "Yeah. How can a country bumpkin like him be worthy of you?" Layla, however, smiled mischievously and replied, "What? I've never had a boyfriend who's ranked first in the grade. He might be a bit of a country bumpkin, but at least he's first in the class." Eli tried to suppress his excitement, lifting his head to look at Layla. "Is that true?" "Of course," Layla said casually. What no one expected was that Eli actually kneeled down and began crawling around the desk, circling Layla. The other students couldn't stop themselves from taking out their phones and snapping pictures. Holy shit. Eli is actually crawling like a dog. So Eli likes Layla after all? No wonder she's the campus beauty. She has such charm. Everyone knew that the self-esteem of a poor student was often very strong. Layla making Eli crawl like a dog was clearly trampling on his dignity. But Eli didn't hesitate at all and did it. After crawling a full circle, Eli looked up at Layla with hopeful eyes. "Is this good enough?" Layla looked around at the excited students, lifted her chin proudly, and stretched out a foot towards him. "My shoes are dirty. Do you know what to do?" After discovering that Eli liked her, Layla was full of smugness and excitement, like she had found a new toy to play with. Now, she was testing how obedient Eli was to her. Eli hesitated for just a moment before reaching out toward Layla's foot. The students around them quickly crowded in to take more photos. After a moment, the classroom erupted with disbelief. "Damn, what a low sigh. He really licked her shoes. So this is what a simp looks like? I never thought Eli, who always seemed so cool and aloof, would turn out to be a simp. TSK. I wasn't surprised by Eli's actions at all. But when he stood up, I couldn't help but ask my desk mate. Did he really lick Layla's shoes? Won't she find it disgusting when they kiss later?" After my words fell, the class fell into a brief silence. Damn, wow. The class president is right. Just thinking about it is disgusting. Layla and Delia's expressions froze. But soon, Layla scoffed and said, "A country bumpkin like him thinks he's worthy of kissing me? Letting him be my boyfriend is already looking down on him." Eli glanced at me unfairly before cautiously saying to Layla, "So, I'm your boyfriend now?" Layla glared at him unhappily and nodded. "From now on, be at my beck and call." Eli immediately nodded enthusiastically. "Yes. I'll do whatever you say." Layla, seeing his attitude, was satisfied. She nodded and turned back to her seat. I, on the other hand, continued to lower my head and study. After Eli started seeing Layla, he began skipping more classes. He started smelling of smoke. Several times on the way home I saw them smoking together off campus, making out recklessly on the street, racing each other on motorcycles. Eli even dyed his hair white to suit Layla's taste and had his ear pierced. Our elite school didn't police students' dress or style-dyed hair was everywhere. But Eli's background could never match those rich kids. The school had recruited him only to boost its admission statistics. So when teachers discovered him skipping class, dyeing his hair, and racing on the road, they reprimanded him. Eli, however, carried on as he pleased. Then he came first in the next monthly exam. So the teachers dropped it. I buried myself in study, staring at a grade report that differed from his by only a few points. At the same time, I anonymously sent photos of Layla and Eli kissing in the street to Layla's fiancé. In my previous life, Layla's rise to idol fame through a reality competition was inseparable from her betrothal to Roman. Roman was vindictive, but he doted on Layla, the fiancé he arranged since childhood. Layla knew she would marry Roman, so she never cared about grades. All she had to do was wait until she came of age and get engaged. But what if Roman found out she'd been with Eli? Even if it were only a kiss. A man like Roman wouldn't tolerate it. He might not harm Layla directly, but he would certainly make sure Eli paid. As I expected, a few days after I sent the photos, Eli stopped showing up to class. The homeroom teacher found out he'd been beaten and was in the hospital, because Eli was hospitalized. I, as class monitor, went with the teacher to visit him on behalf of the class. The teacher looked at him with concern. Eli, who did this to you? The doctor said 2 ribs were fractured and his right leg was badly broken. Worse, his right wrist was broken and 3 finger bones were shattered. For a student about to take the college entrance exam, such injuries would inevitably affect his performance. Eli only looked slightly defeated when the teacher asked, I don't know. The police haven't found out. The teacher frowned. Eli answered with a muted sound, but in his heart he knew who had hit him. The thugs who attacked him had said it was because Layla was Roman's woman, the fiancée of Roman, the CEO. From them he learned Layla already had a fiancé. The thought sparked jealousy inside him. When we were about to leave, I said to Eli lightly, get well soon. The teacher and I will go now. Eli glanced up at me and replied coldly, thanks. Of course Layla knew Roman's men had put Eli in the hospital. She didn't go to visit him. Instead, she sneered in class. What a loser, can't even fight. Serves him right. Her fling with Eli was just a reckless taste of freedom before her formal engagement. Once she was betrothed to a man with extreme control, she wouldn't have this liberty. If she continued fooling around after the engagement, Roman would never forgive her or the Layla family. She hadn't expected Roman to discover her affair so quickly, nor that he'd beat Eli so badly. Hearing Layla's heartless words, the classmates couldn't help but feel a little pity for Eli. It seemed Layla didn't reserve even the smallest place in her heart for him. Eli was pathetic. Did he really think dating Layla might win her over? In her eyes he was nothing more than a toy to be discarded at will. After a week in the hospital, Eli came back to school limping on a cane. The first thing he did upon entering the classroom was walk up to Layla and confess. Layla, I know there are a lot of obstacles between us. But don't worry, no matter how hard it gets, I won't back down. He said. If that man tries to intimidate us into breaking up, I won't let him. Then he looked at Layla with resolute, affectionate eyes. Even if I die, I won't let go. I've decided on you for my whole life. The girls in class covered their mouths, hearts aflutter. Wow. I didn't know Eli was so brave, so romantic. How did Layla make him so devoted? I'm kind of jealous of Layla. Sob. When will my sweet romance arrive? Their envy fed Layla's vanity. She sniffed. Amused. Not bad, you've got some guts. Not a coward, she said. Chin lifted. Inside she felt something stir. She knew it was because of her that Roman had the thugs beat Eli so badly. Yet Eli showed no fear, only stubborn insistence. That kind of all-or-nothing devotion, willing to defy the world for her, was straight out of a drama, utterly romantic. Eli relaxed at her words and smiled. Of course. It was just a beating. Asking me to give you up over that is impossible. Even if I die, I'll die for you. At that, Layla sprang up and, in front of everyone, kissed him on the lips. The class erupted into cheers. I clenched my pen so hard my knuckles ached and watched their embracing backs with cold detachment. Disgusting. From Layla's reaction. She seemed genuinely moved by him. For me, that was perfect. In this life, I truly hope this pair locks themselves together and never escapes. After Layla and Eli kissed in front of everyone, their relationship changed. In the past, Layla had constantly bullied Eli. But now, they were always holding hands, walking around as a couple. Between classes, they would embrace like conjoined twins, kissing nonstop. The students who had once watched in shock had now grown used to it. I watched them grow increasingly intimate. My eyes cold, waiting for the right moment. Soon, the midterm exams arrived. This time, due to an injury to his finger, Eli's writing speed slowed, and his score dropped by several points compared to before. I, on the other hand, maintained a stable performance and secured first place. After the results were posted, Eli stared at the grade sheet with a grim expression. For students from poor families, the midterms were an important exam. The rankings here determine and scholarship opportunities. Our school, being an elite institution, offered generous awards. The student who ranked first in the major exams received a prize of 20,000 yuan. In my past life, that 20,000 yuan had naturally gone to Eli. But this time, his score didn't even make it into the top 100, let alone securing a scholarship. If he kept this up, he wouldn't even have the qualifications to stay in school. The teacher, understanding that Eli had underperformed due to his finger injury, didn't reprimand him. Instead, they called him over to offer words of encouragement. After all, we were still freshmen. Eli had time to properly recover his hand. But what I didn't expect was for Eli to come over and provoke me because I had taken first place. Iris, I didn't do well this time because of my injury. Next time, the top spot will be mine. You've only temporarily got first place. Eli's gaze was cold as he looked at me. I couldn't help but laugh at that. I had never realized that Eli in high school had such a youthful side, that he would come over to threaten me like this. In my memory, he had always been calm and steady, rarely showing emotional fluctuations. It seemed that in this life, he was truly influenced by Layla. Or perhaps, he had always been this way, and I just hadn't noticed before. Is that so? Well, we'll just have to wait and see, I said casually. Seeing that I didn't take him seriously, Eli's brows furrowed, and his expression darkened. With a low voice behind me, he muttered, Iris, your victory this time was unturned fairly. Next time, you won't be so lucky. I didn't turn around. In my heart, I thought, Eli, you're so pathetic now. From then on, I focused on my studies, not allowing myself to be distracted by anything outside of my work. Meanwhile, with Layla's help, Eli's hand had recovered considerably. After the next monthly exam, Eli gave me a meaningful glance as he left the exam room. I paid him no mind, simply packing my bag and leaving slowly with my friends. Who was first? We would all know when Monday came around. When I got into the car, I happened to see Eli riding his motorcycle with Layla, speeding past the school gate. The driver, noticing them, couldn't help but comment, Miss, isn't that Layla, the eldest daughter of the Layla family? Didn't she have an engagement with the Roman family? How is she so close to another male student? I gave a low hum, the corners of my mouth curling into a faint smile. See, even our driver knew about Layla's engagement with Roman. It wasn't appropriate for her to be too close to other boys. What would the Roman family think of Layla's actions now? Layla was dancing on Roman's head as if she didn't care. If Roman were currently entangled with another popular female star and too busy to deal with them, he would have already taken action. Otherwise, if he found out that Layla was ignoring his warnings and hanging around Eli like this, Eli would be in for a rough time. But for now, they could continue their carefree dance. Once Roman was free, he would settle the score with them. Layla and her family wouldn't escape easily. But until then, I had to add a little fuel to the fire. A fire that would burn Layla and her family to the ground. Monday morning, shortly after arriving at school, the grade rankings were posted at exactly 8 a.m. and the first spot was still mine. Eli, however, had dropped to 10th place. 5 points behind me. Seeing that he hadn't regained first place this time, Eli's expression was quite something. He hadn't expected that. After all his harsh words, he would end up being slapped in the face like this. After seeing the rankings, Eli subconsciously looked my way. I only glanced at him infuriately before continuing to focus on my studies. Eli, with a face full of reluctance, returned to his seat, gritting his teeth as he opened his book. At that moment, Layla walked over. The instant Layla approached, Eli immediately tossed his book aside. Layla, I'm sorry. I let you down. I couldn't take first place, Eli said apologetically. Hearing this, Layla immediately smiled brightly. It's fine. Don't be upset. You've done great. If it weren't for your injury affecting your performance, the first place would still be yours. The boy sitting behind Eli couldn't help but scoff. Layla, stop making excuses for Eli. I admit his injury might have affected his performance, but our class president isn't someone to be underestimated. Don't forget, Iris has always been first since middle school. Eli used to be good, but recently he's been skipping class or spending all his time with you. He hasn't focused on studying. It's normal for him to be overtaken. Layla was momentarily stumped by this. Eli gave me a deep, brooding glance before turning to Layla. Layla, I'll definitely take first place next time. I believe you. Layla nodded eagerly. After that, Eli became much more diligent in his studies. He had always been intelligent, with an exceptional memory. Soon enough, Eli was acing his tests across all subjects. I didn't think much of it. So what if he's smart? In this life, I would make sure he had nothing. Soon, let out a low sigh. The day of the final exams arrived. I remembered that in my previous life, it had snowed heavily that day. Before the exam started, Layla deliberately poured a bucket of filthy water over Eli's head while he was in the bathroom, locking the door behind him. Since it was winter, the dirty water quickly froze on his head, making him shiver uncontrollably. When I had someone kick open the bathroom door to rescue him, his body was shockingly cold. Fearing that he might fall ill, I rushed him to the dormitory to take a hot bath, missing the morning Chinese exam in the process. Looking back now, I realized how naive I was. Whether he froze or got sick had nothing to do with me. I was just meddling too much. And today, it snowed again. I wore a scarf and fingerless gloves, carefully stepping through the snow as I entered the exam hall to take the Chinese exam I had missed in my previous life. As I looked at the completed paper, I truly realized that I was making up for the regrets of my past life. After the final exams were over, I finally had the time to deal with Layla and Eli. In my previous life, Eli would always do tutoring during the winter break to earn money. But now, in order to stay close to Layla, he had stopped tutoring and instead spent all his time with her in bars, internet cafes, and other places. I bribed a waiter at the bar to slip something into their drinks. That night, they ended up in bed together, in a private booth. Many people managed to capture photos of them at that moment. Looking at the high-definition pictures on my phone, I smiled. Roman could tolerate Layla having boyfriends before their engagement, but he would never allow her to cross that line. If she did, he would never marry her. He couldn't afford to lose face. And sure enough, as I had planned, Layla and Eli's affair made it to the trending topics. Roman's family, which had deep ties in the entertainment industry, quickly got wind of it. That same night, the posts were deleted from the trending list. But it was already too late. The engagement between Roman's and Layla's families was called off. When Layla's father found her at the bar, she was still asleep in Eli's arms. Without a word, he stormed over, yanked her hair, and slapped her hard across the face. I told you not to be shameless. To act in a way that brings disgrace to the family, he shouted. The slap woke Layla. And when she saw the situation, she screamed in disbelief. What's going on? Dad. I don't know anything. Her father glared at her, his face a mix of disappointment and rage. You don't know? You came to a bar and you still claim you didn't know what would happen. Didn't I give you pocket money? If you were going to be with someone, at least don't get caught. Now look at what you've done. You've ruined our family's name. From now on, I'm going to act like I don't have a daughter." As he said that, he glared at Eli. "Who do you think you are? Talking to me? If it weren't for you, Roman wouldn't have broken off the engagement with our family." He turned back to Layla with cold indifference. "Since you're willing to abandon the family for love, don't come back. I'll announce that I'm severing ties with you." Upon hearing this, Layla completely panicked. "Dad. Please don't. Don't call me Dad. I don't have a daughter who brings shame like you." With that, Layla's father stormed off. Ali rushed to comfort Layla, holding her as she broke down. Layla's father didn't just say he was cutting ties. He really did it. Layla had thought it was a joke. But when she got home, she was refused entry. That's when she realized she had truly been abandoned. The school, Heli, too, expelled both of them due to public pressure. For a time, Layla, lost and despondent, had no choice but to turn to Eli. Moving into his home, Eli, naturally, was more than happy to have Layla with him. They had already crossed a line, and living together only intensified their feelings. However, neither of them expected Layla to become pregnant. With her family cutting off her financial support, the two of them were struggling to even eat, let alone afford a baby. Given Layla's young age, she lost the child not long after. Lying in the hospital, Layla felt deep regret for the first time. Since being with Eli, her life had fallen apart. She used to comfort herself with the thought that love was enough. But the harsh reality of poverty quickly reminded her just how hard life could be without money. Eli wasn't without effort, he had tried to find ways to earn money. But as a minor, no legitimate company would hire him. Even tutoring was out of the question thanks to their newfound notoriety. No parent would trust him to teach their children. So, Eli took to working under the table, moving goods to make a meager living. But as the old saying goes, poverty makes everything worse. No matter how hard Eli tried to provide for Layla, she remained unsatisfied. Especially when news of Roman's engagement to another wealthy heiress hit the headlines. Layla's jealousy flared. "Ah, that should have been mine," she cried. If she hadn't gotten involved with Eli, she would have been engaged to Roman as soon as she graduated. Though Roman was possessive and controlling, at least she wouldn't be suffering like this. So when Eli came home one day after a long day of hauling goods, exhausted, what greeted him was a pile of things thrown at him. "It's all your fault." Eli, heading so filled my obsession. "It's your fault that my life is ruined. If it weren't for you, how could I have fallen to this point? Stuck here with you in this dark, miserable basement? You're useless. Why don't you just die?" Layla screamed, picking up a glass and throwing it at Eli's head. With a loud crash, the glass shattered, and Eli's forehead bled, a gruesome sight. But then, something in his eyes changed. "Layla?" Eli growled, gritting his teeth as he stalked toward her. And in a moment of fury, Eli grabbed Layla by the neck, his grip tightening. Layla struggled, hitting him, gasping. Are you crazy? How dare you do this to me?" Eli's expression was cold as he sneered at her. And without hesitation, he slapped her across the face with a force that made her head snap back. "You deserve this." After the last college entrance exam, I was about to head home when an unfamiliar number rang. "Iris, 32. It's Eli. Can we meet? There's something I need to tell you." His voice over the line was nervous. I frowned. "Eli, we don't really have anything to talk about, do we? I know we don't have much to do with each other in this life, but in the last life we were married. Iris, please give me a chance to meet you." His words made my heart skip. What did he mean? Could Eli have been reborn too? At the thought, I gripped my phone and scoffed coldly. What past lives and reincarnation, who in their right mind would buy that? "Are you trying to trick me? I don't want to talk to you. Don't call me again." I hung up. Still, confusion lingered. If that were the Eli from the previous life, after regaining his memories he should be glad to be with Layla now, so why bring up being married in a past life? I didn't expect him to show up in person, and despite my refusal. "Iris, can you give me 10 minutes? I have something to say." Eli blocked the road like he didn't fear death. The driver slammed the brakes, rolled down the window and cursed. "What the hell are you, suicidal? Standing there like that?" I watched Eli's anxious, rueful face with indifference, and stepped out of the car to face him. "What do you want to say?" When he saw me, his eyes lit up and he rushed forward. "Iris. Listen to me. The only person I've ever liked is you. I'm not lying, last life we were really together. And I know you always had feelings for me. Right?" He looked at me with complete confidence. A wave of nausea hit me. In the next instant I slapped him hard across the face. Under his stunned stare I said coldly, "You loved me so much you killed yourself on our wedding night to die for love and made me a laughingstock." "I lie. You're disgusting. My biggest mistake was ever being with you." Ollie's eyes widened and his body trembled. "Iris, so he finally understood why in this lies I hadn't defended him the way I did before." Then, let out a low sigh, tears welling. He shook his head. "Iris. I'm sorry. You had every right to hit me. I was an idiot. Layla wrecked me completely. After I died last time, my soul stayed by your side." He blurted. "I watched you being bullied. I wanted to protect you, but I was powerless. Only after you died did I find out Layla didn't actually die." "What?" My mind went blank. Then I clenched my fists and shouted in a voice choked with impossible hate. "What did you say? She didn't die? She survived, hid behind her fans. Watched them expose me online and watched me die. Layla. You vicious bitch. I would never let you have an easy life." Seeing the murderous hatred in my eyes, Eli immediately said, "Iris. Don't worry. I won't let her get away with it. I'll avenge you." At that I slapped him again. Hard. "I died because of you. You idiot. Get out of my sight. I never want to see you again. I feel sick just looking at you." I ground the words out through my teeth. Eli's gaze dimmed, but he still nodded and left. On the day the college entrance results were released, I received a short video. In the clip, Layla and Eli hung by ropes on the edge of a rooftop. Eli held a small knife and was slowly sawing at the rope. Layla's face was a mask of terror as she begged and pleaded. Eli showed no emotion. He looked straight into the camera and confessed, "Iris. I'm sorry. I know we owe you a life. Now, having fulfilled my obsession, I return our lives to you." The rope snapped and both bodies fell. Layla's screams poured out from the phone. Eli spoke to the camera in a soft voice, "Iris. I'm sorry. I love you. I hope we can meet again in the next life." I deleted the video with a cold laugh. "Pa. Your belated affection is worth less than grass. Don't ever show up in front of me again. Go as far away as you can in the next life." After her first love's husband died, he brought the pregnant first love home to take care of her. He thought his Viang would make a scene and ruin the first love's reputation. But when both were hospitalized, he chose to accompany the first love during childbirth. And she didn't get angry. When they returned home, he wanted to give the master bedroom to the first love. And she obediently agreed. Because she knew they were more than just childhood sweethearts. Her husband had secretly loved this woman his entire life. In her past life, she gave up going to the military art academy and rejected the chance to become a star for him. She was gentle, virtuous, and worked tirelessly until death, yet she never managed to secure a place in his heart. After her death, they quickly remarried. The wedding dress and diamond ring she never wore in her life. He compensated the first love with them. Now, she's reborn to before marrying William. With 3 days left until the wedding. This time, she'll not only kick the scumbag to the curb but also perform on the Spring Festival Gala. "Comrade Cindy. Did your man run off?" Neighbor Hugo covered his mouth and continued to Cindy. "Yesterday, I saw William dining with a woman at the International Grand Hotel, just the two of them. They didn't care about the influence at all." Cindy looked dazed, staring down at her hands, whose palms were now soft and smooth without any calluses. Seeing Cindy didn't respond, Hugo glanced at her in surprise. "Comrade Cindy. Are you angry at William because of that woman? That fox spirit dresses so seductively every day. She clearly isn't a good person. You mustn't be angry with William. And I heard they've known each other for a long time." Cindy looked up and smiled faintly. After a moment of hesitation, she said, "Comrade Hugo, Comrade William and Comrade Serena share revolutionary friendship. And besides, the William family's matriarch specifically instructed William to take good care of Comrade Serena. Hugo nodded awkwardly. But you're William's fee and key. Aren't you bothered that they dined alone? Cindy gave a bitter smile, they're childhood friends. It's fine for them to be close. Cindy looked at the half-knitted man's scarf in her hand and threw it into the trash in disgust. Hours earlier, at the city hospital, Cindy lay pale in bed. The only sound the steady tick-tock of the heart monitor. She tried to move her fingers just as a young nurse entered with medicine. Oh, you're awake? Cindy struggled to lick her lips, feeling whole body pain and unable to move an inch. You're this seriously ill with no caregiver by your side. Do your family members want you dead? Even your husband, what's he doing meddling in someone else's childbirth? People might think he's the father. Cindy tried to sit up in bed, suddenly recalling what happened before her hospitalization. It was Chinese New Year's Eve yesterday. William had spent the night at Serena's home. So Cindy went to find him. Later, Serena accidentally pushed her onto a stone, and her head hit a nail. Fearing exposure, Serena immediately sat down on the ground, clutching her 8-month-old belly and shouting for help. Hearing the cry, William didn't hesitate to carry Serena to the hospital, leaving a trail of blood staining the ground. Just before losing consciousness, Cindy saw Serena wrap her arms around William's neck and shoot her a victorious smile. When William heard Cindy had woken up, he finally strolled in. Serena is also in this hospital. Now that you're awake, go apologize to her. Cindy couldn't speak, only staring coldly at William. Annoyed by her attitude, William shouted at her, Serena told me everything. If you hadn't come to make trouble with her last night while I was out buying vinegar, and deliberately pushed her to the ground, almost causing her to have a premature birth, she didn't call the police on you only because of me. Don't you think you should apologize? Cindy almost laughed from anger. Why couldn't he open his eyes and see who was more seriously injured? Maybe he just didn't care. She struggled to speak, her voice hoarse and broken. She pushed me first. Cindy, how could you become like this, telling lies and framing someone as fit as Serena? Why didn't I see how scheming you are sooner? Cindy's heart ached unbearably. Ever since Serena's parents died early, William's mother had asked him to take care of her. But with William long serving in the military, Cindy's fiancé he had nearly become Serena's personal nanny. At first, Cindy had pitied Serena and taken extra care of her. But when Serena became pregnant, she noticed her husband often staring blankly at Serena's belly, spending whole days at Serena's home. Cindy finally realized something was wrong and had quarreled with him. But every time, William would rage and solemnly tell her that Serena's unborn child was his comrade's. And now that the comrade had died in the line of duty, he had to care for the orphaned mother and child. This time, Cindy was done. She didn't want to hear William's excuses anymore. As William tried to drag her out of bed to apologize, the IV needle slipped from her hand, instantly staining the white bedsheet with blood. Before William could speak, a nurse shouted, "Where is Comrade William? Your wife suddenly has a stomachache, go check on her now." William looked at Cindy with a guilty conscience. But she closed her eyes, no longer wanting to speak. Cindy, I'll go check and be right back. The doctor said Serena is in a bad mood and needs constant care. You seem fine here, just ask the nurse for help if you need anything. I'll go to Serena first. After all, you wronged her first. When you recover, you must apologize to Serena in person. Watching William's back, Cindy finally understood something. That night, Cindy's heart rate suddenly plummeted. A lie ringing filled her ears, and she could only vaguely see people around her speaking. Where are the patient's family members? We need to perform emergency surgery, go contact them for signature. Director, we can't reach the family. The patient's breathing is getting weaker, what should we do? How could someone this critically ill not have family by their side? Just then, let out a low sigh. A young nurse timidly raised her hand. The family member is accompanying another patient in labor. I just went to inform him. But the pregnant woman there is vomiting. And he can't leave. Serena was just feeling nauseous, say normal pregnancy symptom, but she didn't want William to leave her side. William was so anxious he hadn't even heard the nurse clearly. He only brushed her off with a few words. After years of overwork, Cindy was nothing but skin and bones. Clinging to a faint breath, she stared at the door, seeming to hear William and Serena's laughter. Then, she smiled too, before unwillingly closing her eyes. Too unexpectedly, when she opened her eyes again, she had returned to 1981, 3 days before her wedding to William. It was raining. Cindy looked at the half-knitted men's scarf in her hand, which she had planned to give William on their wedding day. Now it seemed ridiculous. William had come home without her noticing and hugged her from behind. "Cindy, we're getting married in 3 days. Remember to invite your uncle and aunt. Even though we're not having a grand wedding, your parents should attend their daughter's wedding." Cindy's face dark, and her parents had died a year earlier. And she had met William then. Still, she nodded. "I'll notify them." Remembering what Hugo had said, she asked calmly, "William, have you eaten? Should I cook for you?" As if suddenly remembering something, William carefully took out food wrapped in oil paper from his chest and said, "I dined with leaders tonight. Seeing no one touched these dishes, I thought you'd never eaten at the International Grand Hotel. So I packed them for you. Come try them." Though the colorful dishes had lost their warmth in the cold weather, Cindy smiled. "I've been unwell recently, and the doctor advised me to avoid greasy food. I specially brought your favorite fish, won't you try it?" Seeing William's disappointed expression, Cindy carefully picked up a chopstick of food and put it in her mouth. Suddenly, a chill swept through her body, followed by overwhelming nausea. She rushed outside and vomited. "Comrade William, what's wrong with your wife?" "I brought her food from the International Grand Hotel. Cindy might not be used to it, so she vomited." "Comrade Cindy sure has no taste." Cindy sneered inwardly. If William cared about her at all, he would know she never ate fish. She had been allergic since childhood. By deliberately eating the cold fish, she saw that William didn't even know this. Her face was now deathly pale. "William, I don't feel well." William immediately looked concerned. "Drink more hot water. I'll stay by your side." No sooner had Cindy lain down than Serena arrived with a bag of clothes. "William, am I interrupting?" William's eyes lit up. He stood up to welcome Serena and began arranging things on his own. "You've been in poor health since childhood. You can stay in the sunny room facing south, and Cindy and I will take the south-facing room." Noticing Cindy was still in bed, William knelt down and whispered, "Serena's house is being renovated, so I asked her to stay with us. She's alone here, we should take care of her. I didn't tell you about Serena staying because I knew you'd understand." He insisted on pulling Cindy out of bed. Cindy nodded inferently. William was delighted. "I knew Cindy is the most understanding. Marrying you is a blessing from my past life." Serena said she wanted to cook to thank them for taking her in. But Cindy spent the night in a daze. Just as she fell asleep, she was jolted awake by thick smoke. William held Serena tightly in his arms as they fled the kitchen in disarray. Seeing Cindy awake, Serena immediately hung her head and said pitifully, "Sister Cindy, it's all my fault for being so clumsy. I can't even cook a meal properly." William gently booped Serena's nose and said affectionately, "I told you not to cook. But you wouldn't listen. Now look. You're a little kitty." Cindy saw it all but turned over to go back to sleep. After yesterday's rain, her body felt weak and drained. "Your sister Cindy is an excellent cook. I'll ask her to show off her skills for you." "Cindy, I hate to trouble you, but Serena and I really can't cook. Could you make breakfast today?" Cindy simply waved her hand and refused outright. William's expression instantly turned awkward. "Cindy, it's Serena's first time staying with us. What's the big deal about making one meal? Since when have you been so picky? Isn't it just a cold? You used to get up every day to make me breakfast when you were sick. Why do you have to embarrass me in front of Serena today? Do you dislike Serena?" Listening to William's accusations, Cindy felt an indescribable tightness in her chest. It was only 3 more days until she could leave. What did one more meal matter? After all, she'd spent a lifetime cooking for these two in her past life. What was one more time? Cindy forced herself to rise from bed. It was deep winter, and the water in the cistern was ice cold. The moment Cindy dipped her hands in, a bone-chilling chill swept through her body. The frostbite on her hands flushed painfully red. Inside, the heating was turned up high, and she could faintly hear the two of them laughing. As she chopped vegetables, Cindy accidentally sliced her finger, and blood immediately welled up. She called out urgently toward the house, "William! My hand is bleeding." It took ages for William to emerge from the room, wearing a concerned expression. "How could you be so careless? Let me find something to stop the bleeding." Serena trailed behind, tears instantly welling in her eyes as if she'd done something unforgivable. "It's all my fault for insisting on breakfast otherwise. Sister Cindy wouldn't have cut herself. This is all my fault." William stroked Serena's head and comforted her. "She cut herself by accident. It has nothing to do with you, don't blame yourself." As he rummaged for supplies, William even found a candy that could only be bought at Gua Mall. He turned and handed it directly to Serena. Cindy stared at them, stunned. "Won't Sister Cindy have any? She doesn't like sweets." Cindy locked eyes with him, her eyelashes slightly reddening, her usually gentle voice now hoarse. "William's right. I don't like sweets." Cindy remembered this candy shed begged William for it for ages, before he finally bought it from the supply and marketing cooperative. At the time, he'd solemnly told her that too much sugar was bad for her teeth, and he'd stop loving her when they all fell out. Later, she'd saved the last piece in oiled paper. Now here it was, in William's hand. She clenched her fist tightly, the blood already clotting. Cindy pinched her palm and looked up at William. "William, after breakfast, can you accompany me to visit Mom and Dad?" William frowned. "Cindy, I promised Serena I'd guide her to the cultural troupe today." Chapter 5. But, before she could finish, William pulled Serena into the car, then leaned out the window and said sweetly to Cindy, "It's cold out. I'll drive Serena there. Serena wants to eat pork ribs tonight, would you mind preparing them at home?" William seemed to have forgotten he worked at the cultural troupe too. He'd never once driven her to work. Cindy stared after them until they disappeared, then silently turned back inside, put on a thick scarf and hat, and mounted the old-fashioned bicycle in the corner. The road was covered in frost like snow, thin ice glazing every surface. Her breath misted visibly in the air, and despite her layers, it felt like tiny needles pricking her skin. The icy roads made her ride cautiously slow, but the wind still pierced through from all directions, frosting her eyelashes. Suddenly, Cindy lost control and fell. By Kendall. She looked at the distant car, then at her swollen palm, breathing warm air onto it. By the time she reached her parents' graves, it was nearly noon. Cindy pulled out a cold, stiff steamed bun from her coat and took bite after bite, warm tears dripping onto it. The first mouthful tasted salty. A year ago, her parents had died in a car accident, the driver trying to flee. In those days, only the wealthy owned cars. Cindy had tried desperately to stop the vehicle until William saved her, helping her call the police and arrange the funeral. Back then, as a young girl, neighbors had waited to see her fail. William had been her guiding light. At the time, Serena had been the star of the art troupe, swarmed by suitors richer and more powerful than William. Even if he'd harbored feelings, Serena had only ever treated him as a backup. After watching his childhood sweetheart choose another, William had turned to Cindy. But after their marriage, Serena's husband had gone to prison for embezzlement, leaving her pregnant and alone, so she'd set her sights on William. Leaning against the tombstone, Cindy felt dizzy and drifted into a lethargic sleep. "Miss, wake up. How did you fall asleep here? It's freezing, you should have someone with you. Your family would worry if something happened." "I have no family left." Sympathy flickered in the aunt's eyes. "Go home, miss. It's getting colder. It might snow tonight." Cindy gazed at her parents' gravestone. "Mom, had in cancelled my ascension. Dad, I might be away for a while. I won't be able to visit often." A month ago, Cindy had been accepted into a military region art school. Back then, she'd been overjoyed to marry William, so the acceptance letter had been cast aside. But luckily, there were still 3 days before classes started and she had much to do. When she returned home, William was waiting at the door. "Cindy, where were you? Serena and I are starving." Still having pork ribs tonight? Cindy asked flatly, looking at William. I went to sweep my parents' graves. William's face froze in disbelief. With Serena's arrival, he'd forgotten that Cindy's parents had died in a car accident a year ago. He looked at her guiltily. I'm sorry I've been so busy these days. I forgot about Uncle and Aunt. After we get married, I'll go with you to apologize at their graves. Cindy nodded silently. William quickly brightened. Cindy, I want to eat your pork ribs. Go buy some from the market. Chapter 6. Cindy studied William's face, suddenly feeling a stranger. Serena emerged from the house, saying softly, Sorry to trouble you, Sister Cindy. As Serena raised her hand, something glinted dazzlingly in Cindy's eyes. She stepped forward and grabbed Serena's wrist. A shiny watch adorned Serena's arm. Who gave you this watch? Serena looked at Cindy with a pained expression. You're hurting me, Sister Cindy. William gave it to me. Cindy's gaze locked onto William, tears spilling over. William. That was my father's watch's heirloom. William shrugged. Serena liked it, so I gave it to her. It's mine. William's face darkened. Cindy. We're about to get married. Why be so petty? It's just a watch. I'll get you a new one when the unit gets more watch coupons. Serena hurriedly attempted to take off the watch, tears threatening to fall. I'm sorry, Sister Cindy. I thought it was pretty and asked William for it. In her panic, Serena dropped the watch, its inner parts scattering across the floor. Cindy collapsed to her knees with a thud, hands trembling as she scrambled to collect the pieces, tears splashing onto the ground. Dad. I broke your watch. The only thing you left me. I broke it. In those days, watches were a rare luxury. Cindy's father had worked diligently at the railway for 23 years before the unit awarded him a watch purchase coupon. He'd barely ever worn it. Now it was ruined. William roughly hauled Cindy to her feet, annoyed. So what if it's broken? I'll buy you a new one later. Cindy's face was deathly pale, her body shaking uncontrollably. Her frost-bitten fingers were inflamed and pus-colored, her bitten lip bleeding. William, I'm truly disappointed in you. Her voice was quiet. Do you remember promising at my parents' grave that you'd love only me forever? This was the last thing my father left me. You knew how much it meant, but you gave it away without a thought. Did you even consider how I'd feel? William froze. Since Serena's return, he had forgotten many things. He'd simply given the watch away because Serena asked. He hadn't expected Cindy to react like this. He forced a gentle tone. Cindy. Serena is like a sister to me. It's only natural to care for her. After we marry, she'll be your sister too. Why be so jealous? Seeing William still defending Serena, Cindy's eyes filled with pain. For over a year, she'd cared for William meticulously, even stitching his underwear by hand. Once a beloved daughter, trained in folk dance since age 4 and admitted to the local cultural troupe, Cindy's life had revolved around William since her parents' death. Even the troupe director had asked, Cindy, you're young. Should you really give up your career for a man? He'd even pressured her to apply to the military arts school, and to her surprise, she'd been accepted. William coughed pointedly. All right, Cindy. Apologized to Serena. And we'll let this go. Chapter 7. Cindy stared at William in disbelief. You took my things without permission, why should I apologize? Serena subtly hid behind William, peeking out with a pitiful expression at Cindy. Sister Cindy. This is all my fault. Please don't quarrel with Brother William. I'll use all my salary and savings to compensate you. It's all my fault. All my fault. William raised his eyebrows, his tone harsh. Cindy. You're my future wife. I really don't want you to treat my family as outsiders and haggle over trivial matters after we get married. You're currently eating my food and living in my house. What's the big deal about me taking one of your worthless things? And I'll say this one last time, apologize to Serena. And this matter will be settled. Cindy looked at William warily. Although it was already dark, she still ran straight out. She hadn't done anything wrong, why should she apologize? In fact, Cindy had been waiting for a long time in a nearby alley. She heard Serena say to William in a pitiful voice, Brother William, Aren't you going to look for Sister Cindy? William's tone was ice cold. Both her parents are dead, and she has no friends. She'll come back on her own later. Don't worry about her. I'll take you to the International Grand Hotel to eat your favorite braised fish. But, Brother William, maybe I should move out. Serena, my parents ordered me to take good care of you. I know you're worried about her. But she went too far this time. Cindy squatted in the corner, feeling as if all her passion and energy for William had been drained in that moment. She stayed there for a long time. When she suddenly stood up, she felt a dizzying rush. After recovering, Cindy went to the regiment leader's house and told him she would attend military art school for further study. But she asked him to keep it confidential for now. She then went to the bus station and bought a ticket. Looking at the departure date, she smiled. After arranging everything, she found the cheapest inn to stay in. The bed board creaked loudly when she lay down. She didn't dare to stay in an expensive place because she would need money for everything at the new school. That night was the most peaceful sleep Cindy had since being reborn. But when Cindy returned to the William family's home, it was filled with laughter and joy. The moment she stepped through the door, everything fell silent. William's parents looked her up and down. You're about to marry into the William family, yet you've learned to stay out all night. If it weren't for William taking a liking to you, our family would never have allowed a woman like you through our door. Cindy looked at them expressionlessly but still said politely, Uncle, Aunt, you've arrived. William's mother was furious when she saw Cindy's attitude. You and William are getting your marriage certificate tomorrow. William is busy every day. But you're pretending to be deaf and mute, you didn't even come to pick us up in person. It was Serena who specially took leave from the art troupe to fetch us for your wedding with William. I wonder how your parents taught you before they died. Cindy looked at them calmly, without retorting. Anyway, hadn't sell my ascension. She was leaving soon. She could consider this as repaying William for taking her in all those years. Cindy sat on a chair, listening to William's mother's nagging. But her mind had already wandered elsewhere. Elders are speaking to you, what are you daydreaming about? Really? Our William became a major at such a young age. I don't know what he sees in you. In my heart, Serena is the only fit daughter-in-law for our family. Serena immediately blushed and said copiously, Auntie, what are you saying? There's nothing between me and Brother William. Sister Cindy is the one Brother William loves most. Cindy saw through it. Serena had met someone more capable than William. And in her heart, William had become a dispensable backup. She was confident that even if William got married, he would still stand by her side without hesitation if she just beckoned. William's mother nagged for a long time. But Cindy had completely lost interest. She stood up and said, Excuse me. I have work at the unit. I need to leave now. I won't be having lunch at home. Serena looked at Cindy in confusion. They worked at the same unit, and it was common knowledge that Cindy had taken a month's leave for her wedding. She suddenly stepped in front of Cindy and said, Sister Cindy, even if you're unhappy about Auntie and Uncle coming, there's no need to make up such excuses. Besides, they're Brother William's biological parents, don't you think this is disrespectful? Cindy looked at Serena coldly. Since you're so eager to be part of this family, why don't you marry William instead? Just then, William stood at the door and heard Cindy's words. He strode forward, grabbed her arm, and asked angrily, Cindy, what did you say? She forcefully shook off his hand. Since you heard it, we might as well call off the wedding. William angrily pulled Cindy outside and lowered his voice. What's been bothering you these days? I just let Serena stay with us for a while. I promise I'll send her away after we get married. Cindy was too tired to speak. But William thought she was just being jealous. All right. Go apologize to my parents. They're old and deserve respect as elders. Cindy felt a chill in her heart. No matter what happened, William always thought she was in the wrong and made her apologize. With her departure time approaching, Cindy didn't want to cause more trouble. She went inside to apologize to William's parents. William, I'm not satisfied with her as your wife. But since you insist on marrying her, your father and I won't interfere. However, I hope she quits her job after marriage and takes care of you wholeheartedly. William immediately smiled and said, We've discussed this. Mom. She'll resign. Don't worry. Cindy watched silently as this family arranged her future in a few words: be a virtuous wife and good mother. She said nothing. At that moment, a shadow flashed in Serena's eyes as she looked at Cindy playfully. The moment their eyes met, Serena stared at her provocatively. Sister Cindy. Now that you're about to marry Brother William, you shouldn't stay out all night. You have no idea how worried Brother William was last night. We looked for you all night. As she spoke, she pitifully held out her hands, which had some abrasions. William chimed in, Serena was still worried last night. So we went out to look for you. Unfortunately, heading southwardly. The road was slippery, and Serena accidentally fell, scraping her hands. Their words sounded full of concern, but Cindy could feel Serena's underlying malice. Cindy. You really should apologize to Serena. This time. Cindy smiled at Serena and said, little Serena. I'm so sorry for making you worry. Serena forced a stiff smile, pulled back her hands, and said awkwardly, you're too kind, Sister Cindy. But Cindy made an excuse to go grocery shopping and leave this oppressive place. Serena also offered to go with her. Once they were alone, Serena dropped her act, crossed her arms, and looked at Cindy. Cut the act. Cindy. Just because William is marrying you doesn't mean you'll be a major's wife. If I hadn't persuaded William to take you in, your relatives would have eaten you alive by now. I've disliked you ever since the art troupe. You always tried to compete with me. I even convinced William to make you quit the troupe, and surprisingly, you actually stopped coming. Cindy listened to Serena's words with a calm expression. So what if you marry William? He'll always love me. You're just a substitute. I advise you to know your place and not provoke me, or I'll make William divorce you. Cindy smiled faintly and said nonchalantly, fine. I'll give William to you. Serena's eyes widened. What did you say? I'm giving him to you. Isn't he just a man? I don't want him anymore. Serena looked at Cindy in disbelief and quickly followed her. But Cindy walked away without looking back. A meal that day was unusually sumptuous. Cindy had prepared it carefully. Serena looked at her with a conflicted expression. William praised Cindy with approval. Women should stay home and raise children after marriage. Mom. Look how virtuous Cindy is. Can't you rest assured now that I've married her? William's parents nodded. Cindy. William needs a balanced diet of meat and vegetables for every meal. His personal clothes must be hand-washed. They exchanged a glance. Anyway, you'd have no parents left. So we can forget about the 3 bricks and 1 ring traditional wedding requirements. It'll all belong to you 2 young people eventually. Cindy stared ahead, her palms numb from being clenched. A look of triumph flashed in Serena's eyes. Sister Cindy is so kind, he won't mind these details. Even if there's no bride price at all, she'll still follow Brother William wholeheartedly. Throughout the meal, only they kept talking. Cindy silently ate the food in her bowl. Suddenly, William picked up a piece of fish and put it in Cindy's bowl. I don't eat fish. Her voice cut through the air abruptly. I remember you loved fish. I'm allergic to fish. You remembered wrong. The dining table fell silent. Cindy. My son was being kind by picking food for you. What's with this tantrum? Serena immediately stood up, picked the fish from Cindy's bowl, and looked at everyone pitifully. Brother William. I love fish. Sister Cindy. Don't be angry. It's all Brother William's fault for mixing up our preferences. William's mother slammed her chopsticks down. Cindy. You're not half as good as Serena. How can I trust William to marry you? She stormed out in a rage. William and Serena hurried to comfort her. Alone at the dining table, Cindy silently ate the meal she had prepared with care, but big tears fell into her bowl. After finishing, they still hadn't returned. Seeing the food had gone cold, Cindy dumped it all into the trash and went to pack her clothes. To her surprise, after a year, she only had a small bag of belongings. As she approached the door, her steps slowed. She turned to look at the house where she had lived for over a year. Every detail had been personally arranged by her, but now it felt ironic. As she spoke, she stepped over the threshold and slowly walked toward the bus station. Chapter 10. Watching Serena happily entertaining his mother, William began to resent Cindy. Serena glanced at William following behind and called out to him. Brother William. Hurry up. Aunt I said she'll take us to take a family photo. In 1980, photos were only taken on very important occasions. When they arrived at the photo studio, William and Serena stood upright behind his mother, prompting even the studio owner to praise them. Madam? You're so fortunate. Your son and daughter-in-law make such a handsome couple. Hearing this, William's mother beamed from ear to ear. For some reason, though, William felt a twinge of guilt, as if he'd drowned Cindy. He quickly shook his head, finding the thought ridiculous. His reaction did not escape Serena's notice. Brother William? What's wrong? If you're worried about Sister Cindy, you can go back first. I can go home with Auntie later, it's all the same. William had been slightly torn, but Serena's words quelled any lingering doubts. They didn't return home until William's mother had enough of shopping, only to find the house pitch black. Cindy? Cindy? Only empty echoes answered. William immediately scanned the room and, seeing nothing missing, gradually relaxed. What's a soon-to-be bride doing wandering out all the time? William avoided looking at his mother. She'll probably be back soon. But they waited all night. Are you even getting married? You were supposed to register this morning, where is she? William's parents were furious, grabbing their bags and storming out. This time, even William was enraged. Recalling Cindy's odd behavior lately, he searched her room and found her towel, cup, and her father's broken watch gone. Half the food and cloth coupons in the wardrobe were missing to hardly noticeable at a glance. All that remained were the sweaters she'd knitted for him, including a scarf that was only half finished. Cindy had once said she'd wear the hand-knitted red scarf on their registration day. Everything seemed to signal she'd planned to leave long ago. But William had noticed none of this. He bowed his head, deep in thought. Serena looked at him. Sister Cindy might have gone on a long trip for some reason. Brother William. Don't worry. When William ignored her, Serena bit her lip and said tentatively. Brother William. I don't know if I should tell you this, but I can't bear to see you deceived by Sister Cindy. William, sensing a hidden roof, stared at Serena with wide eyes. Actually, I don't think Sister Cindy left at all. She's just unhappy that your parents are meddling in your marriage. So she disappeared on purpose. And you know how much she loved you, and how could she give up marrying you? Though doubtful, William chose to believe Serena. He vowed that when Cindy returned, she would apologize. He kept glancing at the door, but Cindy never came home. And his frustration grew. Serena. Should we call the police? What if? Brother William. Don't you know Sister Cindy? She hasn't been to the cultural troupe in ages. And she has no friends here. She'll wander around and come back soon. Serena urged William to go about his day, promising to call him at the army when Cindy returned. But after he left, she ransacked the house, even throwing away all the gifts Cindy had given William into the trash. Cindy. Who do you think you are? Even things I don't want, you can't take. Brother William belongs to me alone. When William came home, he found the house in disarray. Tears streaming down her face, Serena sobbed into his arms. Sister Cindy just came back and smashed the house. She took all her things and broke off the engagement, saying you're not good enough for her. She also said never to show your face in front of her again. William's face dark, and as he gripped Serena's shoulders tightly. Did she really say that? Serena's heart skipped a beat at his expression. But she suppressed her guilt. She wasn't afraid of Cindy confronting her later. She knew William would believe her unconditionally. William was furious, never expecting Cindy to be like this. Serena. Keep an eye out. Has she gone back to the cultural troupe? This isn't over. Driven by anger, William forgot who Cindy truly was. Staring at the empty house, he was overwhelmed by loneliness. In the past, when he worked late, Cindy would sit by the door knitting a sweater, glancing outside occasionally. The moment she saw him, she'd rush into his arms. Now that Serena couldn't cook breakfast, William ate all his meals at the army. William, why hasn't sister-in-law been bringing you food lately? Yeah, Major. I miss sister-in-law's pork ribs, they melt in your mouth. William looked at the calendar and realized Cindy had been gone a week. No one had seen her. And even Serena said she hadn't returned to the cultural troupe, where she'd already moved out of the dormitory. A strange ache welled up in his chest, rising to his throat. Staring out the window for a long time, he said bitterly, "I don't know where Cindy is. William. Even if you quarreled, you should go find her." "Yeah, having fulfilled by obsession. Sister-in-law is so gentle you must have made her angry. You should apologize. Maybe she'll come back when she calms down." William's eyes flickered, and he forced a bleak smile. "She told me never to appear in front of her again. Major, you know women sometimes say things out of anger. My wife tells me to get lost all the time. But I know she cares about me more than anyone. Go buy her flowers and apologize." William was swayed by their advice. These days without Cindy, he felt something missing. As if their home was no longer the same. Taking their advice, he stopped at a flower shop to buy a bouquet of red roses, imagining how he would apologize. But as soon as he entered the house, Serena naturally took the flowers into her arms. "Brother William, why did you think to buy me flowers today?" The neighbor Hugo saw this and couldn't help but say. "William, having fulfilled my sigh. You're so lucky. Your fiancé has only been gone a week. And you're already with another woman. Poor comrade Cindy." Chapter 12. Serena immediately hid behind William. "Don't talk nonsense. Brother William and I are in love." Hugo rolled his eyes at her. "You vixen seduced William and drove comrade Cindy away. Didn't you? The other day. It was already late, and I saw comrade Cindy leaving with a small bag. Before she left, she told me to take care of myself and even gave me the sweater she knitted. She looked upset, so I didn't dare ask more." William's heart raced at Hugo's words, his body going rigid. It took him a long time to react. "When did she leave? Did she say where she was going?" Hugo shook his head, then seemed to remember something and said excitedly, "It was the 8th day of the 12th lunar month. It was my wife's birthday. I don't know anything else." "The 8th day of the 12th lunar month?" William looked at Hugo eagerly. But Cindy had clearly come home on the 9th and smashed everything. William stared at Serena with suspicion. Serena took several steps back, avoiding his gaze. "Brother William. She must be mistaken. Do you believe her over me?" Ever since Cindy disappeared, William had felt an emptiness in his heart. Now, hearing Hugo's words, he looked at Serena with resentment. "Cindy didn't come home that night? Why did you lie to me?" Serena panicked, grabbing his hand to explain. "When I got home, the house was ransacked. So I thought Sister Cindy had been here." William studied Serena coldly, his doubts growing. "You know exactly what you did." From then on, William grew distant from Serena but secretly searched for Cindy. She had few friends. "Director. Do you know where Cindy is?" A director sighed at William's unshaven face. "If you don't like Cindy, you shouldn't have pursued her. Now that you have comrade Serena, there's no chance for you to. Besides, she's doing well now, leave her alone." William blocked his path. "Director. Where is comrade Cindy? She's my fiancée, and I'll only marry her in this lifetime." The director said. "She entered the military region art school." This clue left William feeling mixed emotions. Images of Cindy's smile flooded back, and longing overwhelmed him. Yet he was torn by his attachment to Serena. But his concern for Cindy won out, and he decided to find her. William raced to Cindy's school, asking for directions along the way. As he entered the campus, he saw a boy walking beside Cindy, carrying her books and chatting happily as he escorted her to the dormitory. This sight stung William's heart, and jealousy clouded his judgment. "Stay away from her," William shouted, rushing over to punch and kick the boy. The boy was caught off guard and staggered back several steps. Cindy screamed in terror. "William. Stop, are you crazy?" But William ignored her. After the blow, he approached Cindy with red eyes, grabbed her shoulders tightly, and shouted, "Come home with me. You're my wife, stop throwing a tantrum and come with me." At this moment, the senior who had been standing by quickly stepped forward to intervene, forcefully pulling William away. "What are you doing? Can't you talk this out?" William struggled to reach for Cindy, muttering, "She's mine. I won't allow anyone near her." Cindy's face turned red with anger. Tears welling in her eyes. William. How can you do this? We're already over, stop pestering me. William stood frozen, staring at Cindy with regret and confusion in his heart. Senior Ethan. Are you okay? William glared at Cindy and Ethan with bloodshot eyes, veins bulging on his forehead. He had never expected that when he came to see Cindy with joy in his heart, he would witness such an intimate scene between her and another man. Cindy. You actually care about him? I'm your husband. William roared, his voice hoarse with rage. Cindy's eyes were filled with vigilance and unease. William. Don't do anything stupid. This has nothing to do with him. Seeing this, the jealousy in William's heart burned even hotter. He pointed at Cindy, his body trembling with anger. You're actually protecting him? Are you still my wife? How can you be so openly intimate with another man? It's disgraceful. Cindy's eyes instantly turned red. She bit her lip, her voice stinged with stubbornness. William. Don't spout lies. Ethan and I are just friends. Friends? William sneered, his eyes full of mockery. You don't look like just friends to me. Cindy. Don't forget you belong to me. If you come home with me now, I'll forgive the past. Serena and my mother have already forgiven you. Don't be ungrateful. Hearing this, Cindy looked at the man before her, familiar yet strange, filled with grievance and helplessness. William. Who do you think you are? How dare you treat me like this? But William persisted. He stepped forward, trying to grab Cindy's hand. I don't care. You have to come with me today. Cindy struggled fiercely, and Ethan stepped forward to shield her, creating a standoff between the three. William glared furiously, lunging to drag Cindy home while shouting, "Come with me, stop embarrassing yourself." Cindy shoved his hand away forcefully, shouting, "William, how dare you treat me like this? From start to finish, you've always taken Serena's side. When did you ever truly care about me? In your eyes, what am I even worth?" William froze, a flash of panic crossing his face. But he still insisted, "Stop being unreasonable. None of that matters. You're the one I've chosen, you should come home with me." Cindy scoffed and said resolutely, "Chosen? We never even got a marriage certificate. What right do you have to restrict my freedom and force me to leave? I'm not your accessory, I have my own life and choices." William's face paled. He opened his mouth but found no words. Memories of the past flooded his mind, and he realized he might have truly broken Cindy's heart. But his pride wouldn't let him bow easily, though a trace of unspoken regret and confusion lingered in his eyes. He looked at Cindy impatiently and shouted, "Can you stop making a mountain out of a molehill? Serena didn't do anything wrong. It's just a minor issue, why do you have to keep harping on it? Is that interesting?" Cindy trembled with anger, her eyes red. William irritably ran a hand through his hair and raised his voice. "I think you're just too narrow-minded. Serena has always treated you as a friend, but you keep misunderstanding her. How many times have I explained this? Why can't you listen?" She looked at him in disbelief. "Between me and Serena, you've never trusted me, you just keep blaming me." William was left speechless by Cindy's words, struggling to find a response. Cindy composed herself, looking at William and saying firmly, William, it's over between us. Please leave now." William's eyes were bloodshot, veins throbbing on his forehead. He suddenly stepped forward to grab her, shouting, "No. I won't accept this ending." At that moment, Ethan lunged forward, spreading his arms to shield Cindy protectively behind him. He stared at William firmly. "Calm down, don't do anything foolish. This is a school. If you don't leave, I'll call security." As they confronted each other, campus security rushed over. The head of security boomed, "What's going on here? No troublemaking on school grounds." Ethan quickly called out, "Security. He's causing a disturbance and threatening students." The guards immediately surrounded William. The security captain said sternly, "Comrade, can't you resolve issues peacefully? If you keep this up, we'll have to take action. Leave the school now and stop causing trouble." William looked at the security guards, filled with reluctance. Watching Cindy and Ethan walk away, he felt for the first time that she might truly be slipping away from him. Alone in the cold hotel bed, he stared blankly at the ceiling, His thoughts drifting. Recalling Cindy's indifference today and the man by her side, William's heart ached sharply. An indescribable sadness welling up. Every morning, Ethan would rise early, walking through streets to buy Cindy's favorite breakfast, keeping the warm food carefully cradled in his arms. In the library, he reserved seats in advance, arranging their books by the window. Noticing Cindy only had two outfits to wear, he'd find subtle excuses to take her shopping, discreetly buying suitable clothes and claiming they were store gifts. For movie premieres, he'd book tickets and buy her favorite snacks. When he subtly noticed her financial struggles, he'd secretly scout and arrange easy, reliable part-time jobs, then casually share them with her to protect her pride. Cindy knew Ethan had feelings for her, but every time she tried to refuse, he'd interrupt her. She didn't want to waste his time. He deserved better than someone like her. Looking at Ethan's sincere expression from a distance, she bit her lip and nervously fidgeted with the hem of her clothes, and mustered the courage to say, "Ethan, I came to the military art school to focus on self-improvement. I really don't plan to date right now." She paused, her eyes flickering with conflict, finally deciding to reveal her secret. "Also, William and we have a past. Although it's over, I'm not ready for a new relationship yet." Ethan listened quietly, his smile fading into heartache. He stepped closer, his voice gentle but firm. "Cindy, I don't care about your past. Those experiences only make me want to protect you more. I'll wait until you graduate. Until the day you're ready to open your heart to me." His eyes held an unshakable resolve, as if making a solemn promise. Cindy looked at him, feeling an unfamiliar ripple in her heart. Her once firm resolve to reject him began to waver. But unexpectedly, William rushed out and grabbed Cindy's wrist. "You're my wife. Please watch your distance from other men." Cindy struggled to shake off William's hand. "Why are you still here?" "I applied for leave from the military. I'm going to be your school chaperone." So-called chaperone was really just supervision of Cindy's daily life. Ever since Cindy refused to go home with him, William had been consumed by loss and resentment. Ignoring military discipline and comrades' advice, he insisted on taking leave. His only thought was to bring her back to their rightful life path. When Cindy saw William still on campus, a chill ran down her spine. Her heart clenched, and she instinctively turned to blend into the crowd, trying to avoid his gaze. From then on, she hid in her more classroom corners, trying to avoid any encounter with William. Watching through windows as William asked around for her, she felt nothing but fear and anxiety, her mind replaying painful memories of their past arguments, control, and stifling oppression, leaving her only terrified of this man. Her nails dug into her palms as she silently prayed he would leave soon. Ethan also noticed her distress, offering constant reassurance. "Don't worry, Cindy. I'm here. He won't dare do anything to you." But William didn't give up. Blinded by obsession, he took an extreme step to force Cindy out, contacting school leaders, falsely claiming she was his runaway fiancée, and demanding her expulsion for violating their marriage contract. Suddenly, campus rumors exploded. Classmates looked at Cindy with curiosity, disdain, went out a low sigh, and scorn. In the rehearsal hall, former friends distanced themselves, whispering behind her back. One evening, Cindy met Ethan by the campus lake. He looked at her stubborn gaze, his heart aching. "Cindy, don't be afraid. I'll always be by your side." Ethan's voice was firm and warm, wrapping around her. Moved by his sincerity, Cindy decided to confront William herself. Taking a deep breath, she knocked on his hotel room door. "William, we have no relationship left. I'll never go back with you." Cindy's voice trembled slightly, but she tried to stay calm. Looking at the man she once loved, he now seemed terrifying. William rose slowly from his chair, approaching her step by step with a twisted smile, part triumph, part crazy obsession. "Let you go? Only if you come home and marry me. Cindy, you were always meant to be mine." His voice was low and husky, as if squeezed through clenched teeth. Cindy staggered backward in horror, her back pressing against the cold wall. Her heart thundered in her chest as she shook her head wildly. "No, I won't go back with you. I don't love you anymore, you can't force me like this. William seemed deaf to her words. He reached for her arm. The fire of desire blazing brighter in his eyes. Just as he was about to touch her, the door slammed open. And Ethan rushed in like an enraged lion. Asshole! Ethan roared, swinging his fist into William's face. William stumbled backward, crashing to the floor. Blood trickled from the corner of his mouth. Ethan swiftly shielded Cindy behind him, his gaze sharp with vigilance and fury like a wolf guarding its territory, ready to strike again at any moment. The room erupted into chaos. Tables and chairs toppled over, objects scattering across the floor. The violent clash soon drew the police. Before long, all three were escorted into a police car and driven to the station. Cindy sat on a chair, her body still trembling uncontrollably. She hugged herself, staring blankly ahead. The heart-stopping scene replayed in her mind, leaving her exhausted and despairing. She couldn't fathom how William had become like this. William sat nearby, his hair disheveled, bruises stark on his face. He hung his head, hands limp on his knees, the anger in his heart gradually giving way to clarity. He began to realize how absurd and unforgivable his actions had been. The once high-spirited, rational man he knew seemed like a stranger. Ethan stood beside Cindy, gently resting a hand on her shoulder in an attempt to offer comfort and strength. His gaze was firm yet tender, filled with heartache and concern as he looked at her. He silently vowed that no matter what came next, he would never let Cindy suffer another harm. Cindy dragged herself back to school, mentally and physically drained. She was immediately summoned into the dean's office. Standing there, she fidgeted with the hem of her clothes, her eyes clouded with confusion and fear. When the notice reading, "Bad conduct, expulsion from school," was thrust before her, it felt as though her world collapsed. Why? Why is this happening? Cindy's voice trembled as tears spilled over. She turned to the dean helplessly, only to be met with cold indifference and disdain. Upon hearing that Cindy was about to be expelled, Ethan was overcome with urgency. Without hesitation, he rushed home and burst into his father's study. "Dad, you have to help me." Ethan's face was etched with anxiety, his forehead damp with sweat. His father set down his papers, removed his glasses, and studied his usually composed son now in a state of panic. "What's going on? Speak slowly." "It's Cindy. The school wants to expel her. But she's innocent. Dad, you must intervene to stop this." Ethan's eyes were filled with pleading and hope. His father frowned, scrutinizing him. "Why are you so nervous about her? What is she to you?" Ethan's cheeks flushed slightly. He took a deep breath, straightened his posture, and met his father's gaze firmly. "I love her, Dad. She's the one for me in this life. And I can't let her be treated so unfairly." His father was silent for a long moment, then nodded. "All right. I'll take care of it." Meanwhile, William was still fantasizing that his plan had succeeded, that Cindy would have no choice but to return to him. When he learned that Ethan had intervened and the school had revoked the expulsion order, he flew into a rage. How is this possible? How can this be? William's face contorted with anger as he paced the room, repeatedly punching the air with clenched fists. By now, his leave period was nearly over. Reluctantly, he packed his bags and returned to the army, filled with resentment and bitterness. When Cindy heard that William had left, she finally breathed a sigh of relief. She also learned that William had been demoted upon his return, and the taut string in her heart finally loosened. But the peace did not last long. Cindy froze in her tracks when she saw Serena arrive on campus with William's parents. Serena's eyes were sinister and resentful. William's father wore a stern, imposing expression, while his mother wiped away tears, cursing Cindy nonstop. Cindy had just turned to leave when William's mother spotted her. "You vixen! You're the reason our William is in this mess." Her shrill voice drew the attention of surrounding students. Cindy halted, instinctively taking a step back, her gaze wary. "Out of respect for being William's elder, I'll call you aunt. But you can't slander me. William and I are long over." Serena snorted and stepped forward. "Stop pretending. If it weren't for you, why would brother William have been demoted? You've ruined his future." Cindy looked at them coldly, unable to suppress her disgust. That's his problem. Not mine. He's the one who's been harassing me. William's father frowned, staring at Cindy with piercing eyes. Regardless, you owe us an explanation. We won't let this go. Just as the situation reached a standstill, Ethan hurried over. He stepped between Cindy and the hostile stares and remarks without hesitation. Uncle. Aunt. This isn't Cindy's fault. You can't force feelings. William brought this on himself. Don't shift the blame to Cindy. Ethan's voice was steady and firm, his eyes unflinching. William's father's expression dark and further as he sized up Ethan. Who do you think you are? Stay out of this. Ethan straightened his spine, pulling Cindy protectively behind him. Uncle, I respect you as an elder, but I must set the record straight today. Cindy is a kind, hardworking girl who has never wanted to harm William. Love can't be forced. William's obsessive behavior, ignoring Cindy's wishes, led to this mess. How can you blame her? William's mother interjected with a wail. What do you know? Our William would never be like this if it weren't for her. Ethan turned to her. Aunt, I understand you love your son, but you can't accuse Cindy without evidence. Do you know the pain and grievances she's endured? She's been striving to live her life and pursue her dreams, only to be dragged into this chaos unfairly. Serene coughed distaphonially. Sounds nice. I bet you have your own ulterior motives for her. Ethan's cheeks flushed slightly. He glanced at Cindy behind him, his gaze softening with resolve. Yes, hadn't fulfilled sesh. I love Cindy. But my love is about care and protection, not the selfishness and tyranny William showed. I'll always be by her side to support and protect her, ensuring she's treated justly. Surrounding students gradually gathered, moved by Ethan's sincerity and resolve, and cast admiring glances his way. Standing behind him, Cindy felt a surge of warmth and gratitude. In this difficult moment, Ethan's courage made her heart flutter for him once more. Consumed by anger, William's mother charged forward, intent on confronting Cindy. You shameless woman. Stay away from my son. Serene stood by, a faint smirk on her lips, and whispered to onlookers. She's the other woman. Brother William and I grew up together, but she deliberately seduced him. Now she's gotten him disciplined, and she has the nerve to show up here even luring other men to defend her. Disgusting. Whispers and gossip erupted like a tidal wave. Who knew? I thought she was wronged last time. But now his parents and Faye and Key are here. She doesn't look innocent to me. Ethan follows her around every day. She must have some tricks up her sleeve. I had a bad feeling about her from the start. Turns out she's a homerfecker. Cindy looked around, took a deep breath, and spoke clearly and firmly about the noise. Do you really know what William was like? He wavered between me and Serena, enjoying my love and care while craving the excitement Serena brought. I gave him my all. But what did he do? He always took Serena's side without question, treating me like a pet to amuse himself when he felt like it. Cindy turned to Serena. And you? Serena, why pretend to be innocent? You knew how William felt and deliberately stirred the pot, just to prove your own pitiful sense of worth. Serena paled, opening her mouth to retort, but Cindy's sharp gaze silenced her. As for William's parents, do you think you can accuse me blindly just because you're his family? Have you ever considered how irresponsible your son was in this relationship? I chose silence before because I still held on to some affection, but that doesn't mean I'll tolerate slander. I have a clear conscience. The ones in the wrong aren't me, it's those too afraid to face their own hearts. With that, she walked away with her head held high, leaving the crowd in shock and thought. The dean told Cindy about a major national event, a dream stage for all art students. Confusion flickered in Cindy's mind as she looked at the calendar. 1983. The first Spring Festival Gala. Her excitement was beyond words. She could barely speak. She remembered that in her past life, performers had been selected from the military art school. But then she'd been pregnant and stuck at home. This time, maybe she could stand on that household main stage. When Cindy left the dean's office, her heart was a whirlwind of emotions. Before she could recover, Cindy saw William's parents standing at the door, crying. They held a banner that read, Cindy is a homerfecker with corrupt morals, she must be expelled from school. Cindy initially ignored them. But Serena, with sharp eyes, spotted her. Wearing a mocking smile, Serena grabbed her arm and said, "Oh. So Cindy dares to hide? With your lowly status, you still dare to attend the military art school for advanced studies? Don't you know your place? Just because you've clung to a new wealthy partner doesn't mean I'll fear you." Cindy stared at her coldly, fully on guard. Suddenly, Serena leaned in, her eyes flickering with madness. "I might as well tell you I'm reborn too. In my past life, I lived unhappily. In this life, I'll never let you have peace. William should have been mine all along. You were just an accident. I'll erase you completely from our lives." Cindy was shocked but quickly composed herself. She knew this would be a tougher battle. "Serena, do you think being reborn lets you control everything? Using such unscrupulous methods will only drag you deeper into the mud," Cindy retorted without flinching. Serena snorted coldly. "We'll see. You won't end well." With that, she suddenly screamed and pointed at Cindy in fake horror. "Help!" William's father slapped Cindy so hard her ears rang. His curses were like sharp knives stabbing at her heart. "You jinx. It wasn't enough that you killed your parents, now you've harmed William and even want to hurt Serena." Serena leaned falsely against William's mother, pretending to sob. "Auntie, don't stress yourself. She's just like this. I was only reasoning with her. And she attacked me." As she spoke, she glanced at Cindy with triumph and provocation in her eyes. Cindy's eyes red, and not from grievance, but from trembling with anger at their malice. "You're spouting lies," she shouted, her voice shaking with rage. "Serena, you framed me on purpose. Don't think I don't know your schemes." But William's father ignored her protests, stepping forward to point at her nose and sneer. "Scum like you shouldn't exist. Stay away from Serena and William, or you'll regret it." A crowd of students had gathered, whispering about the scene. But William's parents didn't care. They were determined to seek justice for Serena, continuing their vicious curses. Serena added fuel to the fire, making the farce worse. Cindy clenched her fist so tightly her nails dug into her palms. Struggling to control her anger, she stared defiantly at William's parents and Serena, shouting, "Don't go too far. Serena, you're lying through your teeth. Do you really think no one can see through your tricks?" William's father's fleshy face trembled with rage, and he raised his hand to hit Cindy again. But she dodged nimbly, her eyes firm and fearless. "Do you think you can bully me like before? I'll set the record straight today." She quickly took out the tape recorder Ethan had given her and played a recorded audio clip Ethan had told her was popular abroad for both recording and playing music. "Listen, everyone. This is Serena threatening me just now in the corner. She deliberately provoked me and then pretended to be injured to frame me." As Serena's vicious and calculating words played, the crowd began whispering and casting skeptical looks at her. Serena's face paled instantly, and she turned to William's parents, stammering, "It's not true. She forged this." Her voice had lost all its former calm. "Cindy didn't let her off the hook. And Mr. and Mrs. William, you accused and beat me without evidence. Just because you believe this scheming woman? You call me a jinx who killed my parents. That's baseless slander. I've always respected you. But this is how you treat me?" William's parents looked hesitant and embarrassed upon hearing the recording but still insisted, "You're just crafty. This recording proves nothing." Taking a deep breath to stay calm, Cindy scanned the crowd and raised her voice. "Everyone saw how they abused their status as elders to verbally and physically attack me. I'm just a student here to study. Yet they've treated me with such malice." As the crowd began criticizing them, Cindy turned and walked away, leaving William's parents and Serena flustered. She threw herself into her studies, hoping they would give up once they ran out of opportunities to cause trouble. But they didn't. Serena, elaborately dressed and scheming, spotted Ethan sitting alone on a campus bench and approached him with a delicate stride. "You must be Ethan," she cooed, sitting beside him and leaning closer. Ethan frowned slightly and subtly moved away, responding politely, "Yes. Can I help you?" Seeing he wasn't repelled, Serena rejoiced inwardly and began her plan. A fine, why then? Do you know about Cindy's past? She asked, feigning casualness. Ethan nodded. What do you want from me? Serena's face showed disdain. Let me tell you, she's not as innocent as she seems. We're both artists and colleagues. But she's always stuck up and dismissive of others. Her heart is filthy. Back then, she used her looks to charm brother William into ignoring even his parents. Though disgusted, Ethan remained calm. Is that so? It seems like you're jealous of Cindy. Afraid he wouldn't believe her. Serena pressed on. It's true. Ethan. Don't be fooled by her. We have more in common, we're both artists. We could exchange ideas. Attend art exhibitions together. Cindy doesn't understand the true essence of art. She leaned closer. Her eyes filled with expectation and innuendo. Ethan stood up impatiently and glared at her coldly. Serena. Does this mean anything? I know Cindy better than you do. You're just trying to sow discord. My relationship with Cindy is none of your business, please respect yourself. With that, Ethan left without looking back, leaving Serena embarrassed and resentful on the bench. She glared after him hatefully. Why does Cindy deserve so many men's attention? Why don't you just die? When William heard that Serena and his parents had gone to confront Cindy, he took a train straight to the military art school. Standing like a statue on the street corner, he stared fixedly at the school gate. His eyes tired but determined. His hair was messy, his beard unshaven, and days of travel had left him disheveled, but he didn't care. Focused only on the figure he hoped to see. Finally, having fulfilled my absay. Cindy's laughter with Eve and broke the silence as they walked out of the gate side by side. Radiating youth. Like a triggered beast. William rushed over and grabbed Cindy's wrist tightly. His voice urgent and trembling. Cindy. Listen. My parents and Serena confronting you wasn't my idea, I just found out. Please believe me. Cindy yanked her hand away, as if shaking off all their past entanglements. Her gaze was icy. Like a frost-edged blade. William. I don't want your excuses. Get your parents out of here now, stop disgusting me. William stomped his foot in frustration, veins bulging on his forehead. Cindy. Why won't you believe me? You used to trust everything I said. Have you forgotten that? Just then, William's parents arrived in a hurry. His mother, like an enraged chicken, charged forward to point at Cindy and shout, "Ungrateful wretch! How has William ever wronged you? Why do you torture him like this?" Cindy frowned in disgust and stepped behind Ethan. Ethan stood tall, shielding her like a pine tree, and stared coldly at William's family. That's enough. Stop harassing her. But William bypassed Ethan, trying again to grab Cindy. Cindy. Come home with me. I was wrong before, I'll listen to you from now on. Okay? Cindy stepped back, her feet crunching on fallen leaves. Her resolve was written all over her face. William. Stop deluding yourself. We were over the first time you made me suffer. Take your parents and leave before I call the police. William's father turned red with rage, veins throbbing in his neck like an angry dragon about to breathe fire. You dare call the police? We'll teach you a lesson. You little brat. Before William could speak, Cindy cut him off. There's nothing left to say. Leave me alone. She grabbed Ethan's arm and walked away quickly, their footsteps echoing in the silent air, each step like a blow to William's heart. He stared at their retreating figures, feeling increasingly lonely and desolate. Curious and disdainful glances from the crowd felt like sharp arrows piercing him. But he stood rooted to the spot. On the campus boulevard, dappled tree shadows fell on the ground as Cindy walked slowly with her Brooks, lost in thought. After her showdown with William, she'd hoped for peace and an end to the harassment. But she should have known William wouldn't give up so easily. Ahead, Serena appeared, affectionately looping her arm through William's as if declaring her sovereignty. A victorious smile played on Serena's lips, though a fleeting malice lurked in her eyes. Cindy. Long time no see. William and I are getting married. Since we were once acquainted, you must come to the wedding. William tensed, his face torn as his gaze lingered on Cindy, words dying on his lips. Cindy startled slightly, then composed herself, a faint smile curving her lips. Congratulations. The words seemed to jolt William. He instinctively shook off Serena's hand and took a step towards Cindy. Cindy. It's not what you think. There's nothing between us, it's all a misunderstanding. My mother forced me. Cindy regarded him coldly. William. Do you think explanations matter now? We ended long ago. We have no connection left. Serena quickly interjected, grabbing William's arm with a sob. William. How can you treat me like this? We're about to be married. She turned to Cindy. Eyes blazing. Cindy. How long will you keep pestering him? Cindy scoffed. Me? Serena. Aren't you overcomplicating things? Just then, Ethan appeared at the end of the road. His face softened into a gentle smile at the sight of Cindy. And he quickened his pace. Cindy's eyes lit up at the sight of Ethan. She lifted her skirt and ran toward him, ignoring whatever William called after her. Serena stood rooted to the spot, watching Cindy and Ethan embrace and walk away. Her hands clenched, nails digging into her palms as jealousy and resentment coiled through her like a viper. Her carefully staged show of triumph had backfired, only reinforcing how much William still cared for Cindy. She felt like a fool in this messy drama, her gaze turning venomous as she muttered, Cindy. Don't get cocky. I won't let you off easy. In a dim, shadowy alley, Cindy hurried forward, unease gnawing at her. The day's confrontation with Serena had made her wary, but she never guessed danger lurked behind her. Suddenly, heading suddenly, a figure lunged from the shadows, blocking her path. Cindy staggered back in terror. By the faint moonlight, she saw a sleazy street thug grinning menacingly. Hey, pretty thing. Come with me, ice and quiet. Someone paid good money for you to learn a lesson. Cindy's heart raced, her voice trembling. Don't come closer. I'll scream. She fumbled in her bag, hurling books at him wildly. The thug merely laughed, lunging to snatch her bag and slam it to the ground. He pinned her against the wall as she struggled desperately, despair flooding her. Just then, rapid footsteps approached, followed by Ethan's furious shout, "Let her go." Ethan charged in, delivering a swift kick to the thug. The man yelped and released Cindy, turning to grapple with Ethan. Though lean, no lean. Ethan was fueled by rage and courage, his eyes blazing as every punch landed. After a few rounds, the thug faltered and fled. Ethan ignored the chase, rushing to check on Cindy. He gently steadied her trembling shoulders. Cindy. Are you hurt? Did he do anything? Cindy collapsed into his arms, tears streaming. I'm okay. Fine. Thank you. If you hadn't come. Ethan held her tightly, his gaze tender and resolute. Shad. And here. No one will hurt you again. In a distant corner, Serena watched it all, seething. Her perfect plan thwarted by Ethan. How could she accept this? But seeing Cindy and Ethan embrace, she dared not show herself. Slinking away into the darkness, Ethan raced with Cindy to the police station, sweat pouring down his face. Officer. Please help. Someone attacked us. We need to file a report, he shouted. The officer listened gravely, then sighed. We lack concrete evidence at the moment. The case requires further investigation. Ask around. Report any suspicious activity immediately. Cindy hung her head, trembling. I thought I saw a familiar shadow. And the thug had mentioned someone. Ethan gently rubbed her shoulder. Don't panic, Cindy. We'll find clues and make sure the culprit pays. Though worried, he forced a reassuring tone, vowing to protect her at all costs. As they left the station dejected, William rushed up, panting heavily. Cindy. I heard you were hurt. How bad is it? He asked, eyes filled with worry. Cindy stared at him, shocked. Who told you? William hesitated. Serena saw it's he. Before he could finish, his parents arrived. His father grabbed his arm, face thunderous. Come home now. Stay away from this girl. We can't afford her. Dad. Cindy's hurt. I can't abandon her now. William protested, struggling. His father's veins bulged with anger. I'm doing this for your own good. You were demoted because of her. What more do you want? Don't ruin your career over a whim. He dragged William away as Cindy stood trembling, overwhelmed by hurt and confusion. Once, She'd cherished William deeply. Even after he betrayed her. She'd never wished him harm after all. He'd been there when her parents died. Ethan handed her a tissue. His heart taking at her distress. "We'll solve this ourselves. Cindy. Those who hurt you will be punished," he said softly. Cindy nodded. Choking back sobs. "Thank you. Ethan. I don't know what I'd do without you." Her feelings for him deepened. Elsewhere, Serena stood in a corner. Nails piercing her palms as she watched her scheme fail. Chest heaving. She whirled and stormed into her room. Slamming the door. She paced wildly. Thoughts in chaos. William entered and immediately noticed her agitation. "Did you have something to do with what happened to Cindy?" William asked coldly, studying her face. Serena looked up, eyes brimming with fake indignation. "How can you accuse me? William? I've always treated Cindy like a friend. Where's your evidence?" She wiped away tears. Voice trembling. "I was terrified when those thugs attacked her. I tried to help. But you come in here and blame me? You only care about Cindy. Why did you even pursue me?" She stood, trembling with rage. "Do you see nothing I've done for you? I care for you every day. But the moment Cindy needs help, you lose all sense. What am I to you?" Her voice rose to a hysterical pitch. "I have a clear conscience. If you don't trust me, go back to Cindy, see if she'll take you." She collapsed to the floor, sobbing. "How can you wrong me? What have I done to deserve this? Cindy doesn't even love you anymore. Why can't you let her go? You refused to return to Ha Chang. Do you still have feelings for her?" William frowned, conflicted, seeing his silence. Serena sobbed harder. "After all this time, can't you see my devotion? You interrogate me for her sake. How could you?" Her voice cracked with desperation. "She left you, William. She ran away in the middle of the night. I've been taking care of your parents all this time. Can't you tell how I feel about you?" William knelt, placing his hands on her shoulders. "I'm just worried about Cindy. I don't want to wrong anyone. But your behavior today is suspicious." Serena shoved him away, glaring through red eyes. "Fine, investigate. When you realize you're wrong, I hope you'll regret it." She stormed out, leaving William alone with his doubts. William looked at Serena's tearful appearance and felt he had wronged her. Full of guilt, he hurried after her. Striding up to her, he said with remorse, "Serena, I'm sorry. It's my fault. I shouldn't have spoken to you like that. I'm such a jerk." Serena sobbed, her body trembling slightly. "Do you think a simple sorry fixes everything? You were so harsh on me. What exactly did I do wrong?" William explained anxiously. "I was just too worried about Cindy and lost my head. Please don't take it too hard. Okay?" Suddenly, Serena hunched over, leaning against the wall, and vomited painfully. William's face paled, and he rushed to support her. Hurrying to the hospital in a panic, pacing back and forth, William was consumed by anxiety. When the doctor announced Serena's pregnancy, he froze, his mind racing through recent days. He suddenly realized the timing matched that night. Serena stole a glance at William, seeing his solemn expression as he calculated the dates. Her heart leapt into her throat, her face growing paler as her hands instinctively clutched her dress. William turned to Serena and asked haltingly, "Is this child from that night?" Serena avoided his gaze, her voice quivering. "What do you think? Wasn't it the time we... How can you refuse to take responsibility?" William pulled Serena tightly into his arms. Ever since discovering her pregnancy, Serena had been restless, desperate to return to Harbin immediately. She knew her lie was a ticking bomb. If the child's real father ever found her, everything would unravel. When William's parents learned of Serena's pregnancy, they beamed with excitement at the thought of grandchildren. Taking William's hand, they urged solemnly, "William, Serena is carrying our family's blood. You must take good care of her. This is a major matter for our family. Don't neglect it." Looking into his parents' expectant eyes, William nodded silently. But Cindy's face flashed in his mind. Unable to resist, William went to see Cindy. When he stammered, "Cindy, Serena is pregnant." A flicker of surprise crossed Cindy's face, followed by a faint raised eyebrow. "Congratulations." William avoided her gaze, murmuring, "I didn't expect this either." Cindy gave a soft laugh, though it carried an indescribable tone. "What happened between us is in the past." William looked up, meeting her eyes, but his throat felt choked, unable to form words. Cindy turned her back to him, saying softly, "From now on, treat her well. We should each have our own lives." William stood rooted, staring at her retreating figure for a long time, his heart a whirlwind of emotions. Serena sat by the bed, gently stroking her swollen abdomen with a furrowed brow. The discomfort of pregnancy left her exhausted. One day, when William rushed out to buy her appetizing candies and his parents went to buy tonics for the unborn grandchild, the house grew quiet. Suddenly, urgent knocking sounded at the door. Serena struggled to open it, her face draining of color at the sight of her lazy, good-for-nothing cousin Yunlai. "Long time no see, cousin." Yunlai grinned, trying to barge in. Serena blocked the doorway, hissing urgently, "How did you find me? Leave now. Don't show up here." Yunlai peered past her at her belly, a crafty smile spreading. "Wow. Showing already. You're living the good life, cousin." Serena frantically tugged at her dress to hide her stomach, insisting sharply, "This child has nothing to do with you. Don't get any ideas." Yunlai snorted, his smile turning sinister. "Do you think I'd believe that? But I don't care whose kid it is. Now that you're living comfortably, you can't forget your cousin. Give me 2,000 silver dollars. Or I'll spread all your dirty secrets and let everyone know you're a slut. See how you survive then." Serena's eyes wide and in horror and rage, her body trembling. "How dare you? This is blackmail." Yunlai shrugged nonchalantly. "You decide, cousin. Pay up, or lose everything. Your choice." Serena's mind raced. "I really don't have the money. Let me go back to Harbin, and I'll send it to you." 2,000? No, 4,000 silver dollars. Yunlai wasn't fooled. "By then, you'll be gone. Where would I find you? Besides, you're carrying my child. I can't let you leave." His face twisted by greed. Yunlai advanced menacingly, growling, "Don't play games. If you don't pay today, I'll shout from the rooftops about your dirty deeds." Serena pressed herself against the wall, tears welling. "Yunlai, I really have no money. Are you trying to kill me? Cut the crap. You live in this big house, how can you be broke?" Yunlai grabbed her chin roughly. 2,000 silver dollars. Not a cent less. Serena shook her head wildly, wrenching free. "I'm not lying. I can't access the William family's money. I don't care, figure it out." Yunlai began pacing, eyeing the room. "Maybe I'll find something valuable here if I look around. And cousin, remember that little plan of yours to mess with that school kid? If I don't get paid, I might just pay the police a visit and tell them all about it." Panic surged through Serena. As Yunlai rambled on, her desperate gaze fell on a stool beside her. In a surge of terror, her hand instinctively reached for it. "You think I'm bluffing? I'll go call the Williams right now and expose." Yunlai spun around, only to meet the stool Serena had swung at his head. With a dull thud, blood gushed from his forehead. He stared, stunned, muttering, "You dare," before collapsing to the floor. Serena stared in horror, the stool clattering to the ground. Gasping for breath, she began rumbling like leaning up the nightmarish scene, dragging the body to a dumpster in the back alley. When William entered, he found Serena trembling on the bed, pale and wild-eyed. "William, I need to go back to Harbin. Buy me a train ticket now. Immediately." Her voice was sharp, quivering, and brooked no argument. Confused, William stepped forward to ask what was wrong. But Serena exploded like a lit fuse. "Don't ask. Just do as I say." With a sigh, William left to buy the ticket. As the door slammed shut, Serena's gaze turned hollow and icy. She rose mechanically, walking to the table corner, her teeth sinking into her lip until it bled. "This cursed child can't stay. Can't stay," she muttered like a mantra. Suddenly, heavenly, she closed her eyes and hurled herself head first into the table corner. With a dull thud, She collapsed. Her lower body quickly pooling with blood. Lying on the cold floor. She smiled a twisted, bitter smile. Finally. It's over. Consumed by despair and madness. She lay motionless. William rushed the injured Serena to the hospital. His heart in his throat. Under the sterile hospital lights. Her face was ashen. The IV drip ticking like a countdown. Her eyes empty yet fiercely determined. She ignored her weak body and the medical staff. Tearing at the IV needle. Let me go. I have to leave today now. William grabbed her hand. Pleading. Serena. What's wrong? You're too weak to leave. Her father-in-law added. Listen to the doctor. Child. Recover first. Serena glared at them. Eyes bloodshot. You have no idea. If we don't leave now, it'll be too late. On the way to the train station, the car's jolting intensified Serena's weakness. But her gaze remained fixed ahead. William's parents sat silently. The air in the car stifling. Dragging her feet. Serena glanced around nervously. Clutching her dress until her knuckles turned white. Then, let out a low sigh. As if time froze. She saw the police approaching. The lead police officer stepped forward. Showed his badge. And said, Serena. You are suspected of murder. Please come with us now to assist in the investigation. Serena froze. Took a step back. And trembled. Are you mistaken? I didn't kill anyone. The police officer stared at her sharply. We have sufficient evidence. Please do not resist. Serena looked around at the strange looks from the crowd. Feeling as if she were stripped naked and paraded. Overwhelmed with shame. Her legs went weak. Barely able to stand. As she muttered. No. This can't be. William also stood frozen. Staring at Serena in horror. Upon hearing that the person who had attacked her in the dark had finally been arrested. Cindy rushed to the police station with Ethan. Anxious. As soon as she entered, she saw William slumped in a chair. His usual spirit gone. Looking utterly dejected. William noticed someone approaching and looked up to see Cindy. His gaze flickered. And Cindy keenly caught the flash of guilt in that instant. Cindy stepped forward and asked softly. William. What exactly happened? William lowered his head, tugging at his hair. And said hoarsely. I didn't expect this. Serena. How could she do such a thing? In conversation with the police, Cindy learned that the person who tried to harm her was actually Serena. And her face showed uncontrollable shock. How could it be her? She blurted out. With mixed feelings. Cindy decided to visit Serena. In the dim interrogation room. Serena had messy hair and her eyes were filled with madness and unwillingness. Seeing Cindy enter, Serena exploded like a lit powder keg. Cindy. It's all because of you. I'm in this mess because of you. I hate you. Why did you steal William? Why are you always better than me in everything? Cindy stood still. Looking at her coldly. And said calmly. Serena. You brought this upon yourself. You were blinded by jealousy and greed. Committed heinous acts. And now you must pay the price. Did you think hurting me would get you what you want? Hearing this, Serena became more agitated. Struggling to pounce on Cindy but being held back by the police. She shouted. Don't be smug. I wouldn't be like this if it weren't for you. Why did you come back after leaving? Why don't you just die? Cindy shook her head. Eyes full of disappointment. You never tried to pursue things honestly but chose despicable methods. You don't deserve pity. Serena's curses echoed in the small room. But Cindy's eyes held no mercy. Only disdain for Serena's actions. Later, Serena lowered her head, hands trembling, and revealed the truth in a voice filled with despair and regret. It was me, cutting felt my obsession. I was obsessed, Serena said hoarsely and bitterly. I was jealous of Cindy. I thought if I ruined her reputation, William would come back to me. So I asked Jin Lai to find someone to dishonor her. Serena bit her lip, tears flowing. Who knew he was a beast? Not only did he go too far, but he also threatened and to expose that I hired him. I begged him not to. But he raped me. Her body trembled as if reliving that terrible moment. I was so scared I didn't dare speak up. Later, I found out I was pregnant. He was a demon. He came to blackmail me for 2,000 silver dollars. Or he drew in my reputation. Serena looked up with tear-streaked face. Eyes full of pain and anger. I couldn't take his threats anymore. I didn't want to be controlled by him forever. When he pressured me again, I snapped. I grabbed a stool and hit him in a panic. I didn't mean to kill him. William was completely disappointed in Serena after learning the truth. Holding his head in his hands, he muttered, "How could I have failed to see her true colors?" Cindy glanced at the disheartened William, then turned to look at Ethan beside her. The corner of her mouth lifted in a faint smile. Later, William returned to Ha Chang. But the once high-spirited man was gone. After returning, he immediately resigned. Cindy heard that William had gone to the countryside. And from then on, all news of him vanished. Cindy and Ethan practiced day and night for the Spring Festival gala dance, pouring their hearts and sweat into every movement and spin. Finally, having fulfilled Maya, on the joyous night of Lunar New Year's Eve, they confidently stepped onto the stage symbolizing glory and dreams. Wearing magnificent dance costumes, the stage lights were dazzling. Amidst them, Cindy looked at the countless eyes below, her excitement surging like a tidal wave, leaving her momentarily speechless. In her past life, trapped in constraints, she had never imagined such a grand stage. This moment had been nothing but an unreachable dream. The performance ended successfully, and the audience erupted into thunderous applause. Ethan took Cindy's hand and led her to the side of the stage. He gazed into her eyes affectionately, his love shining like stars. In this warm atmosphere, Ethan mustered the courage to confess, his voice firm and gentle. "Cindy, from the first moment I saw you, my heart has beaten for you. Spending these days together has made me certain you're the one I want to spend my life with. I love you. Will you be with me?" Cindy's eyes shimmered with moved tears. She nodded, smiling happily, and whispered, "I will." At that moment, the world seemed to stop for them, and a beautiful picture of future happiness unfolded before them.